Hello students, welcome to chapter 11 of module 4, which is file system implementation. So these 5 topics are there in file system implementation. I'll be teaching you the first 2 topics in this video. We all know that file structure is nothing but it's a logical unit, which is nothing but collection of related information. And these files are stored on secondary storage such as magnetic tapes, magnetic drives, optical discs, or your removable flash drives, which are pen drives. Okay, so we have a term called as file system. As you all know, file system is very important to access any files that are residing on the disks. So if you consider disk is nothing but a physical device, right? So it is having only information on it. But if you want to access the information that is stored on the disk, you need to have a file system. So file system will organize the files into directories, and you give names to the directories, you give names to the files. That is how you are able to access the files from the disk. So this file system is organized into layers. And in Windows, if you try to check the C drive, D drive, or the partitions that I'm telling, if you try to right click on it, you have an option properties, right? If you go to properties, you'll find that the file system used in Windows is NTFS, which is New Technology File System. Okay, so we have a term called as file control block here. This is similar to the process control block. Like in PCB, you had information about the process. Here in file control block, you will have information about the file, such as its attribute, its size, its owner, then information about its access control list. All that will be stored in file control block. Coming to layered file system, as I said, file system is a layered organization. So on the top, it has application programs, and on the bottom it has devices. Okay, so now let us take an example. Okay, so we know that application programs are nothing but files that user creates, that is along with the name and along with the extension. This is what is application program. Okay, so I'm taking an example, f.txt. txt is a file type and f is the name. So application programs are nothing but the files that users create. Clear? Okay, now below application programs, you have logical file system. Okay, so the name of the file is given as input to the logical file system. Logical file system has metadata about the files. I hope you know what metadata is, right? Except for the contents of the files, it has all the details of the file, that is having its attribute, having anything, any information that is related to the file, right, resides in logical file system. And the term logical is with respect to the information of the file and not with respect to the contents. And in logical file system, the logical addresses of the files are also present. You know that we have 2 types of addresses. One is physical address and one is a logical address. Logical addresses are accessible by an user, but physical addresses are not accessible by any user. So the CPU generates logical addresses, and then it is converted to physical addresses using a unit called as MMU unit that you have studied in the previous module. Okay, so logical file system consists of the information of the logical disk blocks. You know that the disk is divided into blocks and we fetch the file in terms of blocks, right? So logical file system consists of the logical addresses or logical addresses of the blocks where the file resides. Okay, yeah. Also, it has information. As I said, this is metadata information, so you can also call it as FCB. That is, the information that is present in FCB are stored in logical file system. So now you have name that is given by application program to logical file system, and this logical file system will have the logical address of this particular file. Now, coming to file organization module. So this file organization module knows about the files along with their logical blocks and as well as physical blocks. So whatever logical address that you have got in logical file system, this is mapped to physical address by file organization module. Okay, so logical address block is mapped to physical block by file organization module. Okay, now coming to basic file system. So basic file system is nothing but it is used to only issue commands to the appropriate device drivers that are present in IO control. See, for example, let us say that the file is named as 123. Okay, so the basic file system gives information or gives command onto what to do with the file 123. So let's say it is supposed to read from 123. Okay, so this is the instruction that is given by the basic file system. It is the read from the block 123 is the information that is given by the basic file system to the appropriate device driver that is there in IO control. IO control is nothing but it consists of some set of device drivers and input output controllers. You know what a device driver is, right? Each device driver is associated with a software or a file called as device driver. So OS talks to the devices through device drivers. Okay, so this particular instruction is now sent to the appropriate device driver. So the task of the device driver is to read the content from the location 123. That is, device driver does not read. Device driver will pass on the information to the input output controller to read the contents from the location 123. Okay, and the appropriate devices take in charge. For example, let me say there is a printer which wants to print a text file. Okay, now so this application program sends the name of the text file to logical file system. This logical file system gets the logical address of that particular file. This file organization module converts that logical address to physical address, that is the location on the particular disk. Now this basic file system will issue a command, read the contents from that particular file system. Okay, read the contents from that particular text file. Okay, and this will be passed on to the device driver of the disk. The device driver of the disk will read the contents from that particular text file. It will read and load it onto the main memory, and once it is loaded onto the main memory, then the appropriate device, which is printer right now, right, will read it from the main memory and it will start printing. This is how the layered file system works. Okay, this is with respect to any of the operations. It can be read operation, it can be write operation, it can be retrieve operation. So this is how any particular access with respect to the disk works. Okay. Moving on to the contents of file control block. As I said, file control block is created for each of the file that are opened by any of the processes. So it contains file permissions. It contains date of the file with respect to create, access, write. It contains file owner information, group and access control list, and size of the file. And as I said, the file is divided into blocks, right? So pertaining to that, file data blocks or pointers to each of the file data blocks is present in file control block. Coming to the next topic, which is file system implementation. Okay, so here we can implement file in two ways. That is, there are so many data structures that are involved in file system implementation. So one group of data structures are called as on-disk structures, and other group of data structures are called as in-memory structures. I'll explain you with respect to this diagram later. So, but let us move on. Let's see what are the structures present on disks. Okay, yeah. So the first information that is present on disk is boot control block. If you remember, in the first class I had told you that the OS that is loaded onto the main memory when you boot the system is always present in the first partition of the disk. So in each of the volumes or in each of the partition, there is a partition, or there is a space that is present for OS. So OS is always kept in the first partition, okay, and that is called as boot control block. That is, it contains information needed by the system to boot an operating system from that particular volume. Coming to volume control block, coming to this one, that is volume control block. So volume control block, has the name itself says, it contains details on partition details and the number of blocks that are present in that partition and the size of each of the block and the free blocks that are present and pointers to each of the free blocks. All these are stored in a data structure called as volume control block. Coming to directory structure, if you remember, directory is nothing but it consists of files. All the files are organized into directory. So the detail of each file is stored under directory. Okay. So directory structure is nothing but is used to organize the files. Okay. Coming to the next one, which is per file FCB. So as you all know, FCP is nothing but file control block. So for each of the file, there is a file control block and it contains details about the file. So I had shown you in the previous slide what information does FCB has. So it has a unique identifier. So each of the file control block has a unique identifier, okay, that will have a pointer to the directory structure, okay, where exactly that particular file is present. Coming to in-memory structure, this is in-memory because this is existing in the RAM, that is the main memory, okay. So this is on the disk and this is in memory or in the main memory. So we have this main information in the memory. The first one is in-memory mount table. So you know what mounting is, right? If you want to mount one file system into another file system, then you need to do this mounting. And you know, mount point is a point wherein you want to attach a particular file system to. So all the information with respect to the mount points are available in mount table. Coming to directory structure. So you have a directory structure in on-disk as well as a directory structure in memory, but these are different. This directory structure exists on the disk and this directory structure exists in the main memory. So you can consider this as similar to cache. Okay, so cache is nothing but it is used for faster access, right? So instead of every time referring to the directory structure that is present on the disk, the files that are recently open or currently open, all those can be stored in the directory structure which is in the main memory, that is to have faster access of the files. Okay, yeah, that is, it contains information of the recently accessed directories. Okay, now coming to system wide open tables, this is nothing but it contains information of all the files that are open in the system. Okay, or you can in short say that, as I said, for every file you have an FCB, right? So each copy of the FCB will be stored in system wide open table. That is, for example, if there are 100 files that are open, all the FCBs that are related to the 100 files are stored in system wide open table. Every information of each of the file, every FCB, each copy of the FCB is stored in system wide open table. Okay, coming to per process open file table. Okay, so this per process open file table is with respect to each of the processes. For example, P1 has opened, let's say, 2 files. So for each of the processes, you will have a per process open file table. So this particular per process open file table will have pointers pointing to system wide open table. For example, P1 has opened 2 files, right? So there will be 2 pointers that will be pointing to system wide open table with respect to these 2 files. Okay, these 2 files. Coming to buffers. So buffers, as you all know, whenever something is read from the disk or written to the disk, it is stored in buffer in the during that process, reading or writing process. It is a temporary storage wherein the data is stored. Okay, so these two are there are 2 types of structures. One is on disk and one is in memory structures. Okay, so coming to in-memory file system structures. So this particular diagram, that is the 2 diagrams here, will show you how these file system structures are used. Okay, with respect to 2 examples. Let's see with respect to open example. Okay, open a file. So you know that when a file is open, we have to pass on the name of the file. Okay. Now, first time if a file is open, then it has to be directly searched in the secondary storage. That is nothing but in the directory structure of secondary storage. So this is what it shows. If the file is opened for the first time, then the information should be accessed from the directory structure of secondary storage, and then it is put into the directory structure of the memory that is in the main memory, that is kernel memory. Or if it has already been opened, that is if the information is already in the directory structure, then it can be fetched directly from the directory structure, that is from the second time onwards. Okay. And every time a file is open, you create a FCB for that particular file, right? So all the information with respect to that particular entry with respect to the file is stored in file control block. Okay, so this is how we have seen one directory structure being used and one more directory structure and file control block being used when opening a file. Coming to read. Okay, so in read we have to pass an index which is unique to that particular file. Okay, so as I said, look at this, guys. You have a file control block, right? As I said, each copy of the file control block will be stored in system wide open file table. So you know that to read you should have already opened a file. Okay, yeah. Now, so we pass the index of that particular file in the read argument of read function. Okay, so this is mapped to per process file table, that is the unique index is mapped to per process open file table, and then you get a pointer, right? That pointer will point to system wide open file table. Okay, now based on the information that is there in the that is with respect to the location of the file, if you remember, I had mentioned that in file control block you have pointers to data blocks, right? Each file is divided into data blocks, and for each of the data blocks with respect to the file you have pointers. So this file system wide open file table will have pointers to each of the data blocks with respect to the particular file that you were mentioning in index. This is how the data structures are used. So you can see here for read operation you have used per process open file table, system wide open file table, and then the file control block which resides in secondary storage. This is how we have to use file system structures in order to implement file system. There is one more way to implement file system, which is through virtual file system. Okay, let us just have a brief idea of what this virtual file system is. See, you have many file systems that reside on your system. Okay, there can be many file system. It can be a local file system that resides on a disk, and we have two local file system here, and also there is one more file system which resides on the network. Okay, so there might be, if you don't use a VFS, right? So the way to access these file systems will be different. Okay, so if you want to avoid that problem, then you can have an abstract view of all these file systems in the form of virtual file system. So whenever you try to access these three different types of file system through virtual file system, these three will appear as one single file system. That is, you can use only one API to access all these three file systems. Okay, so you don't have to use different commands to access these three different file systems. You can just use a similar set of APIs to access these three file systems. Okay, so it is easier to access file systems which are of different types. As it says here, look at this, guys. Virtual file system provides an object-oriented way of implementing file systems. So it allows the same system call, that is the same API, to be used for different types of file system. The API is to the VFS interface rather than any specific type of file system. That is, you don't target the file systems individually. You try to access the different types of file system through the virtual file system. Thank you, guys.